That's why it's so important to have a strategy behind your business and go, right, plan for it. Where is the money coming from? Because you need to know these things. You need to forecast it. You need to go, what's happening this month? What's happening for the next few months? Because then when you can plan it and you can see what's happening, fear goes away a little bit, because it teaches that lovely lizard part of your brain that, yep, it's fine. You can still eat, pay bills and live for the next few months. So I'm satisfied. Yeah. And we can work on that. But yeah.
And this is where that client loyalty thing comes in, because the more longer term clients you have, retention, that monthly kind of, even if you're not getting new clients all the time, you've got your existing clients that are keeping you going anyway. And so your best clients are always the ones that already work with you. Mm-hmm. And if you can keep them and make their experience amazing, they're going to keep working with you, aren't they? So you're going to have that kind of almost like, I don't want to say it because it's going to sound like I don't value that as much, but the clients that I'm working with long time, I value absolutely. Mm. But it's almost like that fallback thing of going, well, those clients are with me on a, potentially 6 month, 12-month basis. Yeah. And so it's not that desperation to keep finding new people then.
Yeah, no, it is. It's good. You've got to know it. You've got to know your numbers. That will put a lot of fear to one side. Yeah. And then when you do have opportunities to invest in yourself, I'm not talking about dog knowledge CPD, although, there's a place for it. Mm. But God, you don't need it as often as we all spend it. It's not needed as much. I would always be an advocate for invest in your self-development a lot more. Like go and buy a book, or see if you can go to a course somewhere, or even like a little retreat of some shape or form. Do those type of investments, because they will be the ones that will see you change everything. And I think that's where fear creeps up again. Mm. So we've already mentioned how we felt when we did that podcast. I would be lying if I said that I didn't feel like that when we invested in the mastermind group that we're part of, because that was another hefty investment with two of us going in. Yeah. And there's no guarantee as such as there with results from the end of it. You've got to go in and do the work, but it's the opportunity that it can present to you. Yeah. So,
and I guess from your point of view, actually, here's a question for you. I went into that purely on your trust and your say-so. I had no idea about any of that.
I know you were like really easy on that one.
I was actually. So from your point of view, did you feel the pressure of, it's not just you going in, but it's me going in, and I need to make sure that I feel...
Yeah, so I'll set the scene a little bit then. So at that time, we were going through a remortgage, and my bills are quite hefty. It's a 400k mortgage. And at the time, we were in a 5-year fixed deal, and I think the mortgage was about 1,500 quid. So it's already like quite a chunk of money going out every month. Remortgage came up, and it's at the time when the interest rates are through the roof, like ridiculous amount. My company had gone limited within the last 12 months, which massively affected my application, because they were saying you haven't got enough years as a limited company to be able to suggest that you're going to earn more than you did when you were a sole trader. So that caused a problem and a delay. The renovation we were doing on the house wasn't complete. So there was still a part of the house that was breeze blocked. It was all watertight and everything. And we had all the stuff to kind of finish it off, but we were remortgaging to ideally get some cash out, borrow a bit more so we could finish it. And then the RIC surveyor guy comes out and said that the house is uninhabitable. So they poo-pooed the mortgage and said we couldn't have it. And at this point, I am literally like in pure fear mode of, oh my fucking God, how on earth what's going to happen here? I cried the most I've ever cried. I was thinking, I'm going to have to leave this house. We're going to have to sell it, and we're not going to get anywhere near the value that we want for it because it's not finished. I mean, and in the grand scheme of things, I was like, right, realistically, if we had to sell, we had to sell. I'd still have a house. I could downsize and potentially be mortgage free. So I was honestly looking at houses over in Norfolk, I think it was, just to like move completely out of area, change my whole life completely and force myself into that situation. But anyway, we managed to get through that. And honestly, this was the longest 6 months of my life. All that was going on. Then we got told we could have the mortgage, but then the mortgage is now going to be nearer $3,000 a month. And I'm like, oh my God, can we do that? So I either very cleverly or very stupidly, we figured out that if we borrowed a bit more, then technically I could keep some of that money in the bank. Let's not do the renovation immediately, and we'll keep that cash in the bank to pay the bills so that it takes the pressure off of having to bring in any money. So we did that. So we've now got a $3,000 mortgage. And then we blew all the cash doing the renovation because we was like, yay, we've got money. And now we're like, fuck, we've got no money again. So we're in the same situation, except my bills now with the mortgage and the childcare and everything else, they are honestly around $6,000 a month. Darren then took a new job. So he has gone from a 2.5K salary to 1,500 quid. All this happened, and then this mastermind opportunity came up, and I've been aware of it for a while, and I knew in my gut that was going to help us, but I had no money, and it scared the crap out of me. And I sat there with a guy who I've come to know very well over the years because I'm in another version of their mastermind, and he was like, Joe, I know you well enough now to know that you need this and you want this. And I was like, I know. And I full on broke down. And I think it was about 10 grand. I was like, and I just haven't got it. I haven't got it. And my colleague who works with me on Poor Education, she was like, Joe, you need this. You need to be surrounded by these people because these are going to get you out of this fear stage you're in. And I can see it's fear. And I was shaking and I had like my stress rash and I'm like, oh my God. And I just said, oh God, just charge the card. Just charge it. I've got a credit card. It's got a 10 grand limit on it. It's not 0%. It's fucking ridiculous. Like APR thingy on it. And I'm like, just charge the fucking card. And then go away. And then, so they did it. And honest to God, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Even though technically I'm in a worse situation now, I'm like 10 grand down. I've got 6 grand going out a month with not that much money coming in and probably only like a month and a half's worth of savings technically from the remortgage. That's the situation we was in. And then I said to you, you need to do this as well because it's the joint business. So can you also give me like 10 grand so we can go all in? And you were like, yeah, okay, cool, here you go. And I was like, okay. But off we went and then there we are. But yeah, that fear, Jesus Christ, that was scary. But I knew deep down it was going to work and we were going to be surrounding ourselves with people that we needed to be around. And it's not a decision I regret at all. I knew as soon as I'd made it, I needed to make it. Even though my body went into shock. Like I say, I was shaking, I was crying, all of that. I just couldn't do it, but I knew it was the right thing to do. And we're already looking at how can we make that investment, which is now double for next year.
Yeah, it's got it. But so, I was with you. I just trusted the whole thing and you were saying how amazing it was. And I was like, do you know what? If it's that amazing, then we need to do it. And it comes back to like what we invested for the podcast. And the other thing that was making me hesitant then was that how many other people did it? There weren't that many other people that invested. And I was going, there was a lot of people in that room that day. And I was looking around going, well, why isn't everyone else doing it? That's the other thing. It was that comparing us to everyone else and going, well, if it's that brilliant, why isn't everybody signing up for it?
Fear.
Yeah. But why was I doing that? Because if we really wanted to do it, does it matter what anyone else thinks?
It shouldn't matter what anybody else thinks.
Should it?
But it does, doesn't it? It creeps in all the time. Like you compare yourself to others all the time.